What's going on, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, and today we're gonna take an advanced look at the Savage Sword of Conan Omnibus Volume 2. So please stay tuned. Now, before I get this started, I want to say thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending me not only the omnibus, but it came with both covers, so we can look at both covers. And here is a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions, up to 50% off cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels is currently offering up to 80% off over 250 Marvel Omnibus editions, Marvel Masterworks, deluxe hardcovers, and more. The sale runs through Sunday, September 15th while supplies last. Some of the deals this week include Captain America by Mark Waid, Ron Garney, and Andy Kubert Omnibus. The retail price is $125, but at 50% off, you'll only pay $62.50. Also on sale is Deadpool & Company Omnibus. The retail price is $125, but at 55% off, you'll be paying $56.25. You can find the sale by clicking on the banner on Cheap Graphic Novels' homepage or by clicking the link in the description below. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. Okay, and here it is next to Volume 1. Here's what the spines look like together. And here's what the backs look like. As I mentioned, this was really nice of Marvel, but they were able to send me both covers. So this is the direct market cover. This is the one that's drawn by Jim Starlin, and it's featured as the cover of issue 26. And this is the variant cover. So this one here will be available at comic book stores or Cheap Graphic Novels. And this one here will be available everywhere else like Amazon or Barnes & Noble. This one is drawn by Simone Bianchi, and this one is drawn by Jim Starlin. Like I said, it is the cover to issue 26. So let's take a closer look at the back here. It collects issues 13 through 28 of Savage Sword of Conan, and also the Marvel Comics Super Special number 2, which is pretty interesting because those were the specials that came out a few times and were in color. So let's look at it without the dust jacket. As I take the dust jacket off, I want to say that this book is scheduled to come out on November 6th at comic book stores and places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, and then everywhere else a couple of weeks later. So it's very similar in the style that Volume 1 looked like, which is good. And here is a beautiful cover with Red Sonja in the back. Symbol, and again, I want to point out the unsung heroes of these collections: Corey Sedlmeyer, Rodolfo Maraguchi, Michael Kelleher, David Gabriel, all those guys, unsung heroes for making these beautiful books. But as I said, I want us to start pointing them out in these collections. Here's your table of contents, which shows the writer Roy Thomas, John Buscema, and then other illustrators. And there is a forward by Roy Thomas. And if you know much about these forwards by Roy Thomas, the man loves to talk, and it's awesome to read some of these behind the scenes. So it's about 8 pages long, and honestly, it kicks off with the story of Savage Conan number 13, which I didn't know anything about. So apparently they were running late on deadlines. Let's look at it. And what they had to do was take issues 27 and 28 of Conan the Barbarian and get rid of the color, and they had to add this ink wash to it, taking away the color. So he said it was because they were running short on time that they had to do that. And it's one of the few times they had to do that for the Savage Sword of Conan. So if you're not familiar, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. I love these little house ads that they put in here, and then the articles that they add. They add everything. There's so much love that goes into these books. It's amazing. For the people that have read it, I'm sure this means a lot to you all. But people like me that have never read these books, oh my god, it's like I'm getting the magazine. So yes, okay. So a little bit of a backstory in case you didn't watch Volume 1, or my overview of Volume 1. These are the magazine issues of Conan. There were 235 of these released between the 70s and 90s. And they're in black and white. Other than the cover, everything within the book is black and white. They're a lot more adult-oriented than the ongoing series. So there's, more violence, nudity, and things like that. And it's not just the wonderful talents of John Buscema that bless this book. You also have Gil Kane, like I said, Barry Windsor Smith, Neil Adams, Frank Brunner, and Michael Netzer, just to name a few others. Just looking at some of this gorgeous, detailed artwork, I can't imagine this being in color. Like, yeah, there are some books that are in black and white that colored has spoiled me, and I'm thinking of books like Akira. Even though Akira was originally in black and white, those Steve Olive colors, oh my gosh, they just blew me away. I can't imagine Conan doing anything like that. Savage Sword, because the black and white just looks completely stunning. Oh yeah, I love these little articles in the back. I'm glad that they add everything that were in the original magazines. So even though it's not magazine size, I mean, this is still an omnibus, so it's huge. Sometimes they add little Robert E. Howard novellas in here, and interviews with the artists. Now this is pretty interesting. Let's look at this really quick. Okay, while I get there, I wanted to quickly mention that the book retails for $125, just like Volume 1, and just like Conan the Barbarian, the Marvel Years Omnibus. And this one here is 944 pages long. Now, this is pretty interesting. This is the Marvel Comics Super Special Savage Sword Conan number 2. And it's in color. So it's the one issue in here that's in color. So it's still John Buscema doing the artwork. Inks by Alfredo Alcala, and then Marie Severin did this beautiful colors on the book. She was a very popular colorist at the time. She did a lot of work for Marvel, and I think I want to say she passed away last year. But yeah, just look at this. But like I said, the colors are awesome and they're beautiful, but when I'm looking at the detail of, like, for example, these pages here, I'm assuming I would lose some of the detailed art with the colors that they're adding, or that they would have added. I don't think that adding colors now would have justified it. I don't own any of the the Savage Sword of Conan Dark Horse collections, and I want to say I don't have any of them, but I had a friend that did, and I want to say that they added colors to those. So let me know in the comments down below if you own those, and if they did add colors, and if it did take away from the artwork, or if it made it better in your opinion. Let's look a little more through here. Just like Volume 1, you have a border up at the top and at the bottom, making it, like I said, these were original magazine size, so they're a little bit different sizes and dimensions than a comic book. So when you have them in collected editions like this, they have to do a little thing like this, like a border. So I'm cool with that, especially if they keep the design the same way. And much like Volume 1, you have the issue number and then the date that it came out, and the page down here. Now let's look at the back for the extras. Okay, so we got about 20 so pages of extras. This is the original artwork to Savage Sword of Conan number 13, and then editors jumped in and were like, no, you got to change his face, he doesn't look menacing enough. So that's really cool that we get the original artwork. And then you have the original cover of the direct market cover, or issue 26, without any of the words or numbers. And this one's actually, this is pretty interesting. This is the cover to issue number 19, and it underwent a lot of revisions. So the finished product looks a lot different than that. Whoa, oh, that is beautiful. This is the cover. I love looking at stuff like this. I love the process of art, how it begins, and they start off, with just little thumbnail sketches and then colored sketches, depending on the artist, and comparing it to the finished product. That's one of my favorite things to do, to look at with behind-the-scene books or art books. And here is the Savage Sword of Conan. This is stuff by Neil Adams. So Neil Adams, actually, this is when Neil Adams and Roy Thomas kind of broke off. Because Neil Adams wanted to ink his own issue 14, and Roy Thomas was running short on time, so they pretty much shipped his pencils off to somebody else overseas to do the inking, and they had a falling out because of that. So Neil Adams, the team of Neil Adams and Roy Thomas, broke up after that. Actually, I want to say that Roy Thomas talks about that in the foreword. And then these are the records covered art. Marvel Treasury Edition 15, the front and back cover. And I know people have asked me about the Red Sonja character, like how that affects the books. And I guess we're going to find out in Volume 3 of the ongoing Marvel Years Conan Omnibus. Because she did have her ongoing series, but the character is now owned by Dynamite. And I want to say that they can print her in the book as long as she appeared in a Conan comic, but I don't think they have the rights to reprint Red Sonja. I could be wrong, but I can try to find out. This was really interesting to read. This is from the Behind the Stories of the Marvel Comics Super Special number 2. It's from Richard Ashford, written in 1993. He talks about how it was originally colored, and then they took away the colors, but it was a difficult task, and some of the artwork was kind of messed up because of it. And then he also talked about, this is really interesting, how the story of the Black Boulemer's vengeance became the vengeance of the Barbarian, how they switched around some of the characters to make it fit into a Conan story. It was the first time that a Robert E. Howard non-Conan story and its sequel, not written by Robert E. Howard, were turned into a Conan story. I thought that was pretty interesting. And down here, this is a really cool editor's note from 2019. It talks about how Marvel Comics Super Special number 2 was the first Marvel title to use the blue line coloring, and then about a year later they developed the Marvel color, is what we know now. And then, in case you got the direct market variant, here is the cover by Simone Bianchi of the standard edition. And you know I can't end this video without looking at the binding. It's that eye we're looking for. At 944 pages, I'm sure you saw how well it laid over and how easy it is to read a book like this. It's a beautiful book. And that was the contents of the book. Let me know in the comments down below if you're getting Savage Sword of Conan omnis, or if you're just sticking to the main Conan book omnibuses. I'd love to know who else is picking these up. These are wonderful books, and I hope they go all the way through, collecting each and every single issue. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet, and the notifications button to let you know when our videos are up and live. Thank you very much for watching again. This was the Uncanny Omar, and remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.